Okay, I will make a motion to open the meeting. This is the planning board and zoning board of appeals, and it's May 7th at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
Member Reynolds?
Aye.
Member Shannon?
Aye.
Member Loda? Member Cook?
Aye.
Chair Bleastra?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, first of all, does anyone have any conflicts of interest to disclose?
I do not. I do not.
No, I absolutely not.
I do not. Okay, wanted to announce a couple agenda changes here. First of all, there is an application for a use variance at East North Main Street. And we received a letter from the applicant that they are withdrawing the application at this time. So that is coming off the agenda. The other thing I want to mention is for 20 South Street, they've applied for two variances. One is for garage height and one is for side setback. So I don't see that print, the side setback isn't listed on here, but they did submit an application for it. Okay, any discussion amongst the board as to what order we want to go through these in? I was thinking we could start with 20 South since that's carried over and then go on to 6 Courtney Circle.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. For everyone, I think we have draft resolutions in here.
I have them when you're ready for
We have
those.
them already. Paul?
Yeah, because there's a lot.
Okay, we'll get to them then when we get to them.
Okay.
So let's go ahead to 20 South Street. So do we have anyone here from 20 South Street? Yeah, so it's the same kind of procedure as before. You can come up, you can tell us what changed, what's updated, present what you want to present. We may have some questions. And then if we're satisfied, we'll go through and start getting into deliberations.
Sounds good.
So you have applications present for us for area variances. And there's 5 criteria we have to consider for area variances. And you also have applications for site plan for us, and there's, I don't know, something like 12 criteria we have to look at for the site plans. We have some draft resolutions that list them all, but we'll go through and discuss all that in detail. If you're familiar with any of those, you're happy to be welcome to present any of your opinions on any of the criteria. Fine. Otherwise, the board will just discuss it. So go ahead and update us on what's changed since the last meeting.
Well, nothing really has changed, or the plans are in, we plan on using the existing part of the existing garage, and it's for the setback. There was a question about the drainage. We moved the drain pipe to around the back of the garage so that it's away from the lot line. Other than that, it's,
Do you have a copy of those updated drawings?
I sent them in. I hope you have them.
Yeah, the revision should be colored in the drawing, so it shows that we look at it, the downside. To the rear of the thing.
So the drawing I have here shows downspouts on the side facing the neighbor.
Right, and then it goes to the back of the house.
It's the back of the garage, and it goes to the middle of the yard.
Okay, where is that?
Yeah, trying to.
It should be a big cloud around the revision.
I don't have any clouds. Still not.
This is the one that we got. As an update.
No, we don't really show it.
Yeah. There's little clouds there and with the number 1 revision.
Oh, little clouds.
Yeah, it's a little cloud by the corner of the house with a number 1 and then some new notes.
Which page?
It's an A1 drawing.
Okay.
This one?
Currently, there are no gutters on the garage at all.
Oh, I see the clouds.
So it'll be improving either way.
I know,
It's a small, it's a reduced coverage.
Oh, here. Oh, right here?
Okay.
Yeah. And it should be around to divert it away from the adjacent property.
Yeah.
And instead of having the gutter come out the front right corner, I had them reverse it and involve the back right of the garage and to the back, towards the back of the yard, rather than towards the
The
angle.
large yard and
It's tough to see because it's a.
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah,
I'm still not seeing it, but
here.
I don't have that comment.
I think it's later on in the packet.
Oh,
Right.
sorry, I probably should have highlighted it.
you might have this one.
No, it's an A1, yeah, just keep, there was like the original A1 and then there was the updated.
So let's see, this is A5. Yeah, here it is, right here.
Yeah,
So-
revised one.
For me, that was the third page.
Yeah, we're going
You see,
in,
yeah, right there.
yeah.
So,
Attorney Zoglin, do you need a copy?
so.
I can
the
print one really
downspout in the front, you're having it go above ground along the entire length of the garage. and-
No, it's,
It's situated, if, let's say, if this is the garage, this is facing Main Street. The downspout is in this corner and then it goes away from. the
Yeah,
front.
and then there's also one in the front.
There's, both of them are here.
both are under.
No, the elevation is deceiving because when you draw it, it's supposed to show what you see and there is not that.
So-
It's a little deceiving.
Yeah, so if you come up here, and so this downspout here, you're saying this is referencing one on the rear of the garage?
Yeah, it'll be both here and here.
Okay, so,
So this is when you see it in front, this in the back.
okay, so the downspout is shown here in the front view, but it actually doesn't exist.
Right.
Okay, so basically, the downspout will be in the rear, and one will be pointed towards.
Yeah, you can see it here and here.
Okay. Thoughts, so is everyone okay with that?
I
Yes,
think so.
yes.
Okay.
The hard part was getting to the right page.
Finding clouds.
I'm still confused about that, but anyway.
You can always go by the revision date on the title, on the city corner here.
I see, there's two versions of the same page.
There should be on the
Yeah.
date here.
What's the revision date? What was the revision date you said?
The date is the same,
Not the revision date.
December, is 10/28.
This is the revision date, it's correct. It's
Four.
Yeah, 425, looks like.
Sorry.
Right.
So just one.
Yeah.
A little hard to see, but yeah.
Okay. Then the other question was about lighting. We had talked about. The lights that you're installing here, did you update this to remove some of them?
We took the one off the front and it's just on the two on the entry doors.
Okay, so you took the one off the front of the garage door, you just have two over by the main doors.
Right, by the side doors, the main doors.
Okay, so the concern with it being close to the property line. Could you put on a shielded light or possibly a less intense one and you decide to just remove it, which completely gets rid of the
Yeah,
problem?
just on the entry door, just for code.
Okay, Steve, is there a requirement for a light over a garage door?
No, those entry door.
Just entry doors, okay? And then the other comment is, I think you had mentioned 100-watt light in your application. If you can amend that to say 75 watts or less,
There'll probably be LED 75, that'll be,
75 watt equivalent.
yeah.
So you agree to amend your application to do that?
Oh, well,
Good.
I thought we did that already, but I'll double check.
All right. Well, maybe we can just put that as a condition of approval.
Well, sometime I leave something with the homeowner and I have to follow up better with that.
It gets lost in translation.
Yeah. But we all understand. that
He
that's
travels a
part
lot.
of it.
Okay, all right, well, with that, I think I'm content, you're content,
Yes,
okay. I think, those are just minor technical issues that were addressable, and you addressed them. So, you want to address any, first of all, we need to go discuss the variances. So the two are for garage height, and the side setback. Can you remind us again some of your rationale for the side setbacks? You had some good talking points last time. About,
Well, we have an existing garage, we'd like to use some of the existing
Right.
foundation just for cost wise. And it's nothing wrong with it that we can tell. Again, until we demo, we really won't know, but we certainly would like to use it. Especially now with the cost of concrete to these days. Other than that, I don't know, it's there, it's not encroaching on it, there's no building close by.
your roof is not going to hang over on the neighbor's
No,
property,
it's
correct?
not gonna hang over.
And even with the 2 feet 3 inches, that's still enough to walk over there and do maintenance.
I can walk, or you can walk around the building completely.
Yeah.
You know,
So, okay. So code allows 3 foot side setback, and your request is, I think, 2 foot 2 inches or 2 foot 3 inches.
2.5 or something. It varies depending on where you are on the building.
Okay,
It's not completely parallel to the,
excellent.
but it's around there.
any thoughts, questions from anybody?
Yeah, I think it sounds pretty reasonable for the reasons we discussed last time.
And I think it's important in this day and age to reuse whenever possible.
And we'll go through each of the criteria and discuss that, but, and as far as the garage height, there's a code limitation of 12 foot maximum garage height. You're proposing 17 foot 4 inches. And the one key thing that we've had in our architectural standards that we looked at before is that the garage height has to be less than the main house, which it most certainly will be.
Yeah.
So we want to look like a secondary building. And, so I mean, I don't have a particular concern here. Anyone else?
No.
The architectural review board will get into the architecture of this. If they have any concerns, they can address that. All right, well, let's, my suggestion would be to open the public hearings. We'll see if we have any comments from anybody. So the public hearing for the site plan is open and was carried over from last meeting. I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the 2 variances, for one for garage height and one for side setbacks.
I'll second.
Member Loda,
Aye.
member Shannon.
Aye.
Member Reynolds,
Aye.
member Cook,
Aye.
Chair of Leistra,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience or anyone online who would like to speak? If anyone is online, you can click the raise hand button if you would like to, provide any comments.
We don't have any participants online.
No one's online?
Zero.
Okay. Anyone in the audience? Okay. All right, then, I'd like to make a motion to close all 3 public hearings for 20 South Street.
Second.
Member Reynolds,
Aye.
member Cook,
Aye.
member Loda,
Aye.
member Shannon.
Aye.
Chair of Leistra,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, so the one other topic I haven't mentioned yet about this property is there are some trees that are somewhat close to the garage. There's one by the front that I believe is on your property. Is that correct?
what was that?
Some trees.
Yeah.
No, there's one tree, there is a tree that hangs over the garage, yes.
And then there's another tree, I believe in the back, that's about 6 feet from the garage on the.
Okay.
On the neighbor's property.
We don't have plans to remove them right at the moment.
No, yeah.
Okay,
They're just there.
so, I mean, the only thing I mentioned is sometimes people have concern when you do construction near trees, they can be killed. So, however, we haven't had anyone come in and raise any concerns for these trees, so,
And I'm reasonably certain that we're not going to damage those trees when we're doing the construction.
well, if you keep
One's
it,
in front, one's a little further up now that I'm thinking, one's a
Okay.
little further up in front of the garage.
Yeah, I wanted to-
And one's further back, and then I don't think they'll impact us at all.
and the one in the front, you're not digging by there because you're reusing the foundation, is that correct?
Yes.
So keeping the foundation there may actually help preserve that. And then the other one is further away.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, we haven't heard any concerns about this. I don't think I want to go forward with that. Any concerns? Any thoughts?
Yeah. I think there's cause for concern on that.
Okay. All right, well, let's start with the side setback variance. Do you have draft resolution for that?
Pick one and pass it down.
Have another one?
For the attorney.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, so you got a copy of this, all right, and you have, so just a couple highlights here, this is a type 2 action in seeker. For constructing a garage and expansion of a residential, structure. Other notes are exempt from county planning review due to an agreement, back in '94 for minor site plans and, residential variances. So let's go through each of the criteria here. First one, whether the requested variance will create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. Again, the first one we are going for is the side setback. The zoning code has a minimum setback of 3 feet, and their request is 2 feet 2 inches. I want to start.
And I would say would not create an undesirable change in character of the neighborhood because, for one thing, there's already a building there. So it won't be, I mean, yes, they're expanding the size of the building, but not by very much.
Okay, so there's already a garage in this location with the same setback. And I would say that moving it 7 inches is a really minor sort of. It's 8 inches is, it's 10 inches, it's a really minor change.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, whether the benefits sought can be achieved by another feasible method. Thoughts?
No, part of the benefits out here is being able to reuse that foundation.
Correct, yes.
That makes something bigger without making it bigger.
All right, next comment is whether this is substantial. I think we agree that this is not substantial. So the change from 3 foot to 2 foot 2 inches is small.
And it's not a change,
Oh,
it's a recognition.
Right.
okay, so it's not a large change. And it matches the existing conditions. Next one, whether the variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
So will not, I mean, environmentally, the drainage issue has been addressed. As has the lighting.
So drainage, and lighting have been addressed,
Mhm.
and then we can also see our comments from A.
So, yeah.
Okay, E, the alleged difficulty is self-created. I think we pretty much always say yes, it is self-created, and then we say this alone does not preclude granting an area variance. Then next one, F, the variance is the minimum necessary to provide relief. Because they're reusing, and the benefit is to reuse the existing foundation. Any characteristics of the property you want to discuss that might be relevant to this?
Yeah, I think we could say that the existing garage there is a characteristic of the property as well.
And it's a fairly large property.
I'm sure, yeah.
Plenty of
It's a big
room.
one.
It's pre-existing.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's a pre-existing, so this is an expansion of a pre-existing condition.
Away from the lot line,
Mhm.
you could add. So it's well within the interior of the property.
And so comment on the property, it's a reasonable size for the size of garage. Anything else you want to add?
Where did you want to add, the, condition of the lighting?
And we'll get to a site plan for that.
Okay,
This is side setback and height, and then we'll take those are,
okay.
we all agree?
I think that's probably right.
Okay, is there any, I can't think of any conditions for the variance. Do we want to put a condition on HPV approval?
I think that's probably more relevant for the height variance than for the setback.
I think I would agree with you. Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the area variance for side setbacks for 20 South Street for the reasons discussed.
Second?
Member Shannon,
Aye.
member Loda, member Reynolds,
Hi.
member Cook,
Aye.
Chair Bleastra,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, so that's the first of them. We're gonna go through the same thing with the next application for the height variance. Let's, jump right back in here. First of all, again, why we're here is maximum height of an accessory structure is 12 feet in code. The height of this garage as proposed is 17 feet 4 inches. So first of all, the height. Requested variance will or will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties.
Will not,
Will not. Thoughts, Susan?
kind of given the height of the house, it seems reasonable. And maybe even kind of from an aesthetic point of view, which is more HPV, maybe it would even be kind of more consistent, more pleasing. And also kind of given the size of vehicles these days.
Any other thought? I would agree, as long as it's shorter than the house, which is one of our requirements. There isn't anything, some of the architecture is atypical with the lean over, but the
Right.
garage itself just seems completely normal to me.
Right. And I would say it's an elegant way of using a existing structure to create more space.
Okay, B here, whether the benefits thought can be achieved by some other feasible method, I think you always said it's not. Constructing a 12-foot high garage is just not that.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, do you recall when the house was built?
I'm sorry,
The year the house was built, the garage?
I really don't, I believe it's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
But the pitch is consistent with the house.
Right,
And I know it is cobblestone basement, cobblestone foundation. I know that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Mhm. Probably from the canal dig.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, the garage is not original, obviously, you know, but it's, and it almost looks like the garage was built in two separate, you know, part of it was built and then they added on to it.
Mhm.
It's a nice property, a nice piece of property.
Yeah.
It would have been almost in the canal, when the canal was, when the original canal.
Those were-
Yeah.
Now, you might find something interesting one day.
Yeah.
That's true.
Expect to find lots of bottles and clay shards and stuff like that.
Those things will turn over, the chest of gold, we will not. Those are finders keepers.
Okay, the next one is whether the variance is substantial. Our attorney would, typically, if we were to go, 17 feet versus 12 feet. I don't know, that's 40 or 50% change relative to code.
So, I mean, you could, make that finding, but, courts don't necessarily just go by, the numbers. You can make factual findings based on whether it's, substantial in this area, whether it's substantial in this district. So there is a factual determination that you guys can make as to whether it's substantial, but I, to your point, the math is relevant, but you're not bound by it.
So basically, I think my thoughts are, numerically relative to code, this is a large change. However, compared to community character, lots of garages exceed, the majority of garages exceed 12 feet in height.
So you would say like development trends in the area would render it less substantial because. Like you said, the trend is for larger cars, there are a lot of existing garages, so you could make that factual determination.
You could say less substantial or more consistent with, kind of existing garage heights in the neighborhood. Say both.
Our blue sheet says circa 1850
Oh,
for the house.
1850?
Mhm.
Still standing, not today's London.
Right. 1850, that's neat.
That's on the website if the owners are interested. Yeah.
I went on the Monroe County clerk has a new system. And I'm not thrilled with it. We would have to, I have to have a name, not an address anymore.
Yeah.
And I sent them a nice email that new is not always better.
the name of the owner of the house
Thornton, Barry Thornton.
and not the address?
Now, yeah, you need the name of the person to get information instead of just putting an address on. I wasn't specifically looking at the South Street, I was looking at a Calkins Road project that we did years ago, and I was gonna key in the address and it was bad. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, we're going to go on to D. Whether this will have an adverse impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. I think it will not, what we said before. We can just say, see our comments nay, that's reasonable. For it being self-created, we can find the same finding as before. That it is self-created, that doesn't include granting area variance. Whether this is the minimum necessary to provide relief. Any thoughts about that?
Probably not, but doesn't matter.
I think actually the town law does require it to be the minimum necessary.
I think it is the minimum necessary to provide the relief that's being sought.
And I also think that a small change would not, reduce the impacts of this. If they lowered it by a foot or two, it would have no impact.
Minimum necessary to make it aesthetically correct.
So we find it is the minimum necessary. So comments are, it's needed architecturally.
Yeah. It would look, to lower the height and keep the same footprint would put the pitch out of sync with the home and the rest of the neighborhood.
It would not match the same type of aesthetic that we're in
Is the roof pitch the same as the house?
yeah.
Okay, so it's needed architecturally to have a roof pitch that matches the house.
It looks like a 1970.
Right.
Typically, homes and older homes are, 7, 8, 12 pitch. And again, I didn't measure the house, but I'm sure it does look like it's right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, I have a garage that doesn't match my house at all. I have a flat roof on my garage. Mine actually might be 12 feet, but it's also not big enough to hold a car. So it's.
No, it's the minimum necessary.
Yeah. Right.
Any characteristics of the properties we think are relevant? For the garage height, I don't think of anything.
If anything, I'd say maybe just the existing roof pitch on the home.
Okay, so the garage roof pitch is matching the house roof pitch.
You mentioned the house height before, that's.
Yeah.
like an
Mhm.
element.
Anything else? For findings?
So,
Okay, for conditions of approval, I think I would want approval by the Historic Preservation Board on there. Yeah, for our attorney, if the next board takes a look at it and they come up with some architectural changes that changes this roof height, how would we dictate that?
If it makes it lower, we're okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, if it makes it higher, they would likely need to come back and request a height variance for the increased height.
So should we put a condition that, height of the floor, we don't care? So I don't think it's likely they're gonna raise it.
yeah,
And if it goes up, they have to come back anyways, so.
yeah.
Okay,
But this, a variance for, what is the number, 17. And 7 or something. 17 and 4 inches. Wouldn't authorize a height of 18.
Right.
So. It wouldn't.
So they could build anything smaller.
Yeah,
And they wouldn't have to come back up. They got their variance for 17, whatever.
17.4. The only thing they'd have to come back for is if it went higher.
Which is not very likely.
so I'll make the, my suggestion then for the condition is will be approval by the Historic Preservation Board within 1 year of granting this variance.
Second,
Yeah, everyone okay with that?
Mhm.
So I'll make a motion then to grant the area variance with the condition for the reasons stated.
still second.
Thanks. Member Cook?
Aye.
Member Reynolds?
Aye.
Member Loda?
Aye.
Member Shannon?
Aye.
Chair of Leistra?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, the last one is the site plan. Great, so if we go through our conditions for this. So first of all, number one, they've applied for variances. Number two, compatibility with the comprehensive plan and LWRP. Any thoughts, comments?
No concerns.
Yeah, we're not in the LWRP,
Anyway,
and there's no concerns about compatibility with comp plan. Adequacy and arrangement of vehicular traffic and circulation, I'll say not applicable, unchanged. Okay, pedestrian and bicycle access, again, not applicable. Unchanged. Compatibility of proposed uses to adjacent uses, it's the same. Neighboring properties are residential. Adequacy of off-street parking, loading and access, and not applicable.
If anything, it may improve.
Well, maybe it is.
I do say, if anything, it may improve it.
Yeah, so I guess it would improve, off-street parking. So you have more room in there for a vehicle now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the driveway size is unchanged.
So I'm not gonna change, you know, they're not planning on changing anything.
Adequacy of landscaping and screening, you're essentially unchanged, is that correct?
Yes.
So, the lawn's gonna be repaired after construction and will be essentially unchanged over existing conditions. Signage, not applicable, no signs are proposed. Adequacy of outdoor lighting to address safety concerns and prevent light trespass. So all of the light fixtures are now well away from the property line and aren't directed towards the property line.
it's all kind of interiorly directed.
And Steve, the lighting they propose complies with code and building code, is that correct?
Correct.
Adequacy of drainage and stormwater systems. Steve, again, your opinion on the revised drainage and diverting water away from the property line?
It's proper drainage system.
Okay, so building inspector finds the drainage is adequate and will keep water away from the neighboring property. Okay, adequacy of water and sanitary sewer systems, not applicable. Not changing any of that, right? Adequacy of waste and trash management, again, not applicable. No removing plans, again, not applicable. And whether the proposal will affect health, safety, and general welfare of adjacent property owners and the community. It will not. And Steve, you have no concerns about that, correct?
No.
Impacts to adjacent properties. Okay, and fire marshal, do you have any concerns?
No.
Okay. We talked about conditions here. These are just in our template that historic preservation board shall approve this. And the applicant has to get a building permit within 1 year of the application date.
Or the adoption date.
Of HPA approval.
Well, 1 year of the adoption date of this resolution is what's in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the application.
Yes, the adoption date, okay. I think what were we going to say about, we were gonna say, lights shall be the 75 watt equivalent or less.
Yes.
And, one we often stick in here is light color shall be, standard soft white, to 2700 to 3000 Kelvin.
I don't know what to do.
Code compliant.
There is no code for that. There needs to be though.
Yeah, they're still playing code for 3,000 Kelvin or 75 watts.
Does it list Kelvins in there?
Pardon?
Does it list Kelvins in there? Anyway. I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for 20 South Street for the reasons discussed with the conditions discussed.
Second.
Member Shannon,
Aye.
member Loda,
I,
member Reynolds,
Aye.
member Cook,
Aye.
Chair Bleastra,
Aye.
motion passes.
We're all set from us. So thank you. These will end up getting typed up as part with our meeting minutes. Then a future meeting, you'll eventually get a copy of these, but you'll keep working with the building inspector, and next step is to visit the historic preservation board.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Congratulations.
Hope you find your, you find a goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, are you with 6 Courtney Circle?
That's me.
Well, you saw the process.
I did.
So, by all means, come up and, you can give a brief introduction to your project. You may have a few questions for you. You didn't have any area variances. So this is just going to be a site plan application.
Okay. So the proposed project is, 2 additions on the back of the house, a great room extending the current kitchen. And then, a master bedroom and 2 bedrooms above that. And then the front of the house is extending the front porch for water infiltration issues and putting a small shed roof over the existing garage.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
So,
Let me pull the drawings up here. Let me ask you a couple of questions here, as far as landscaping goes, but, are you making any significant changes?
No,
No, okay, it's basically building it and replanting the lawn?
yeah, the only thing that would be affected is the lawn, low landscaping would be affected.
Steve, do you have any comments about the drainage situation over there? They said they're working on improving things for the front porch and making some changes in, the rear.
None of the additions or changes or house will affect any neighboring property.
I know the addition is about 12 feet from the property line, correct?
Yep, on the southeast corner, I believe it's about 12 feet, yeah.
And are you just putting a downspout there that's just going to the surface? Is that your plan for stormwater and drainage?
So the current downspout actually recesses into the ground. I was just gonna mirror the same one. Just for aesthetic reasons,
So you're
but
planning to put in like a French drain or some kind of underground drainage situation, okay.
yep, and gearing it towards the southwest portion of the yard away from my eastern neighbor. So there shouldn't be any concerns because that's how it currently drains.
Okay, and in the front, your drainage,
I won't be changing any of the existing drains on the front porch. If it's required, there will be a drain on both east and west corners.
and that'd be surface drain, correct?
It would probably be recessed.
Probably underground?
Yeah, just to, so some reason for some of these modifications to my home are because I fall a lot. And I've broken both my ankles, so I try to eliminate all trip hazards. So downspouts are trip hazards, so I recess them.
And what changes are you making to the lighting?
None.
None, no lights at all?
Nope.
Okay. Any other questions anyone have?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and open the public hearing, I think. I'll go ahead and make a motion to open the public hearing for 6 Courtney Circle.
Second?
Member Reynolds,
Aye.
member Cook,
Aye.
member Loda,
Aye.
member Shannon.
Aye.
Chair Listra,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, is there anyone online? Okay, was anyone online, if there's anyone online that would like to submit comments to the board, please click the raise hand button.
No one yet.
Okay. And no one's in the audience. John, Steve, do you have any comments? Okay.
As residents. Chair, will you just repeat the ask if anyone wants to speak, maybe? Because they've been on for a while, so hopefully they're still listening.
If anyone's online, you can click the raise hand button if you'd like to speak to address this open public hearing.
6 Courtney.
Yes, that's for 6 Courtney Circle.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Member Shannon,
Aye.
member Loda,
Aye.
member Reynolds, member Cook.
Aye.
Chair Listra.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, originally, when the comments are, I had some concerns that the application didn't really address lighting, drainage, or landscaping. However, the applicant essentially said they're all in change. So I guess I can't really nitpick a whole lot about that. But it's but we can put some of that in our findings or conditions. Any other comments from anyone?
What's the square footage of the full addition?
The current square footage of the house is 1982 and the proposed square footage is 973 for a total of 29 and change.
So you're adding 900 square feet in Barstow?
Yeah.
Okay. So you said how many square feet? 925 was
It's
it?
29 and change, I would have.
929?
Yeah, let me get you an exact. 2955 will be the total after the proposed addition.
All right, let's pass around these resolutions here. So we're gonna go through the same procedure. We're just gonna read through each of our considerations, make a few comments. All right, first of all, building inspector, are you aware of any code violations in this proposal? Okay. Comment, from anyone on LWRP and comprehensive plan? Well, it's not in the LWRP. Comprehensive plan?
It's not inconsistent, it's hardly addressed.
Yeah, it's type of thing isn't really addressed in the
Right.
comprehensive plan. And then I think we have a bunch of NAs here, not applicable. So vehicular traffic unchanged is not applicable. Pedestrian and bicycle access, not applicable. Compatibility of the proposed use to adjacent uses, it's the same. For all residential. Adequacy of off-street parking, loading and access, that's all unchanged.
Yeah.
Adequacy of landscaping and screening, you are replanting lawn and it's essentially unchanged.
Correct.
Location, arrangement, size, and design of proposed signage, not applicable. Adequacy of outdoor lighting to address safety concerns and prevent light trespass. No new lights are proposed. Adequacy of drainage and stormwater systems. I think the comment is they're essentially unchanged.
And addressed.
Okay, water and sanitary sewer systems are unchanged. Not applicable. Waste and trash management plans is not applicable. No removal plans is not applicable. And any concerns about health, safety, and general welfare? I assume none from us. Steve?
No concern.
And fire marshal?
No concern.
Okay. We have. Make sure to insert the date of these plans in each of these resolutions. What is the date on your plans here?
February 10th, 2025.
Any condition? Are we okay with our standard conditions here? Or any thoughts? So one condition is gonna be historic preservation board approval. Another is, you shall get a building permit within 1 year of the adoption date of this resolution. And if you can't get it that quick, you can come back to us and renew it. But the expiration in 1 year is the requirement that we have, just so they don't put open for
Right.
50 years.
Right, so does that mean the project has to be completed within 1 year?
The building permit, that just means you need to apply for it
Okay,
and satisfy the building inspector's requirements. You don't even need to start construction right away.
okay. I mean, I do plan to have it done within 1 year, I just like to know if the rules are, yeah,
Right.
okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve this for the reasons discussed with the conditions discussed.
Second.
Member Cook?
Aye.
Member Reynolds?
Aye.
Member Loda?
Aye.
Member Shannon?
Aye.
Chair of Leestra?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yay.
So you are all set from us.
Okay,
Your next stop is gonna be the architectural review board. And you'll keep working with the building inspector. He'll keep working with you through the process, but congratulations.
yeah, exciting. Can I ask 2 questions for giggles? I didn't put it in my plan for budget because of budget constraints, but I did at one time think of putting in a circle driveway and removing the existing bluestone and cladding with shingles. Is that something that would have been a consideration?
We really, that's more for the architectural board.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
our primary concern is what are the impacts on adjacent properties? Are you doing anything like shining bright lights, dumping storm water, creating a giant pink elephant somewhere?
right,
So that's our main concern is where are the impacts to the adjacent properties? We don't really look very hard at the architecture as long as it's, within reasonable.
okay, all right,
So, in driveways, there are requirements for driveways, there's driveway width requirements, and, you talk to the building inspector about that.
okay.
Do driveway changes go to the historic preservation board, Steve?
No, they go through me permitting, but if they're changing lot coverage, if it affects lot coverage, it will come back to you.
Okay,
So we normally look at buildings, we don't look at patios and, driveways and lesser part of the construction
right.
project.
Anything that exposes liability, basically, is what.
Changes.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
our code specifies what we're allowed to look at, so really small one-story additions, we don't look at,
Mhm.
two-story additions, we do. And again, the concerns are where the impact on the neighbors,
Mhm. Okay, all right,
So-
thank you,
all right?
very exciting, thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, John, you are here. Do you have anything, construction topics from the trustees or anything that's before you that you want to share? And, you saw this one thing here about, we mentioned this earlier, about the 12-foot max garage height in code is, something that's, we see frequently and that should get fixed. we're talking about a possible letter about a zoning change. What do you want to do about that?
Well, I mean, I think, I guess I could just put this on the record, there was an application that was withdrawn, so it's no longer before us, but the application did raise for us some thoughts about whether we want to recommend some changes in the zoning for the LOR district, and you know, the specific issue we were thinking about is whether certain uses should be that are currently banned should be permitted by special permit. And specifically, we're thinking about medical offices. I don't know if there are any others that we wanted to include in our suggestion that the trustees consider a change.
Actually, I'd like to review what all the banned uses are, just to,
Yeah.
you know, recall those.
Steve is raising his hand to,
Yeah, but just, if you're looking at that LOR, I think it would behoove the village to look at VCB at the same time. Because 25 South Main Street, Rosen was a dentist there for
Right.
however many years, and the code change banned it. So they can't, I mean, they've had, I can't tell you how many calls they've had. From the potential buyer before and the owners now and a potential buyer now of wanting to use that as a dentist office or something like that. And I mean, and they can't,
Do we know what the reason was why the trustees decided to ban
no clue.
it? Okay. John, do you have any insight on that?
No,
first
time hearing.
Yeah.
and Joanne, do you want to comment on the doctor's office?
Yeah, there was a doctor's office right where the park is, the building that burned was there since the 50s.
Yeah, and I think Lisa Cole's house was a doctor's
Was a
office
doctor's,
back in the day too.
yes, and one of the houses on State Street, one of the little houses on State Street was the pediatric office.
I think you've got a unique community too here.
Yeah.
It's like this little enclosed capsule and having you know, a little family doctor right here, you know, what I mean,
Yeah.
or a little family dentist right here, seems to lend to the village of Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, when I was growing up, we went, in fact, it's Mindy's husband's dad was our family doctor. Yeah, and we used to go to their house, and that was our doctor's office.
Yeah.
So Steve, the comment from you is, VCB district and LOR district, correct?
It's a good thought.
They still did house calls for way too long.
Okay, so I think the nature of the letter then to the trustees would be for them to consider special permitted use of medical offices, specially permitted use in the VCB district and the LOR district. And one of the primary drivers of this is that it's been historic uses in these
Yeah,
districts.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a terrific point.
yeah. And
Yes.
if it's contributing to, you know, vacant properties,
Yeah.
then I think that's a really good reason to consider a change.
Is there any thing in the archives you'd like pulled as a citation to the letter to back up?
Well, ultimately, it's gonna
History.
be up to the trustees. They'll
Okay.
figure out what they want to do with it.
Okay.
And if they don't like it, that's up to them.
Okay,
If they like it, I mean, it's just a suggestion from us and this process is all before them, so.
I mean, I think we can, refer to those two addresses where there was a doctor's office and where there was a dentist without, you know, having to go to the archives. I think that gives some strength to
Yeah.
some specificity.
Just out of curiosity, do you know whether we would find anything in the archives about why the decision was made to ban it?
we have minute books that are handwritten up there, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not trying to give our archivist more work,
I was gonna
but
say.
you know,
I
yeah.
don't wanna work here.
But I mean, that's
Would
what the
be-
archives are there for, you know, they're preserving the history, so.
I wonder if it had something to do with the parking and
Well, there are parking concerns, but it's especially permitted use that can be looked at for, in the circumstances of what the business is trying to do.
So Justin, the last code review, when was that? Like 18?
2018,
In 2018 or 2019, yeah.
Right. So do you think it was done then? Well,
I think it was intentionally done,
but,
and they had their reasons for it, but
but I don't remember if it was done then. I don't.
2018 was when they did the VCB one, because that Rosen was there just before that. And then once the use stopped 6 months, they came back because it's.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe that would be something to find.
And I mean, Rosen had their own separate parking lot, so it
Yes.
doesn't affect
No,
Right,
anything.
right.
If you could get that letter in my mailbox, we've got a meeting next Tuesday night, I can bring it up as a member.
okay.
Yeah.
So, the way we usually do these is I try to do things pretty formally, so we actually type up a letter. It gets signed, handed off to the clerk, and then the clerk distributes to the trustees. So I'll make a motion that we draft such letter, and circulate it internally to refine the language. I'll volunteer to make the initial draft and circulate it. And, then we'll send it along when everyone's okay with the language.
Sounds good.
That works for everybody? Okay,
Sounds good.
so that motion is standing, we get a second?
second,
Member Cook,
Aye.
member Reynolds,
Aye.
member Loda,
Hi.
member Shannon,
aye.
Chair Vlistra,
Aye.
motion passes.
Good, I think.
Oh, nice.
No.
You better wait, come on.
Didn't want us to.
Next time.
Thank everybody for, I believe this is my last meeting. Want to thank everybody for, all the good work we've done over the years. So thank you all very much. I'll miss you. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, Justin, you set the bar so high for us.
Yes.
Thank you for that. So we
Absolutely.
have something to live up to,
And
and we'll call on you.
I'm perfectly willing to have, and here to be the new chair. I am happy to do whatever I can to help you move things along, give you suggestions, whatever you need. Anyone else wants to reach out, I'm all ears and give suggestions, and it doesn't bother me if you don't take. But, you know, the thing that's nearest and dearest to me is these resolutions that we always do
Yeah.
that explains to every single applicant why their application complies with the requirements.
Yeah,
That's been the core of our business, that's been really important to me, so
Great.
I do hope that continues.
I think it's a great standard practice.
It takes time, but it gets things done right, and, it, makes everything defensible in court.
Exactly.
And tonight was such a good example of how quickly things can go.
Efficient.
Or, you know, depending on whether it's a variance or it's a site plan, but we went through the same process.
We went through the same process.
So it's not always, endless.
Right.
No, that's something I've always thought is like, we gotta do an environmental review. If we gotta do, an LWRT review, we
Right.
saw this with like the fire department, I think we did them in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get through these things fairly quickly,
Yeah.
just go through the process. And we're good, so please keep it up.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, I don't have much more to say right now.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Member Reynolds,
Aye.
member Cook,
Aye.
member Loda,
Hi.
member Shannon. And thank you, Chair Vlistra,
Thank you.
your vote. Your last vote.
Aye.
Thanks. Pass.
Yeah.
You